Good morning, happy Sunday to you all. I hope you're having a fabulous day so far. I hope it's not raining the way it is here, because actually it's quite noisy with the rain pelting down on us. It is the beginning of December though, isn't it? So everything's quite festive here, and I am enjoying all that festive music that we give you at the beginning of each of our shows. I like a little bit of jingles, it's quite good. So we've got a fantastic starting show for starter skills today. We're going to be looking at all sorts of embellishments on the show. I'm not on my own, of course. I do have the lovely Lily with me. Hello Lily, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning, happy December. It's my first time on CTV since it's been Advent, so I'm really excited to be here. We've got a fab show lined up, so I hope you can sit back, relax and enjoy all the lovely techniques and products we've got on today's show.
Absolutely. And we were talking earlier on, because it's Christmas, when we're talking about decorating and things like that, we are celebrating here with the 12 Days of Craftmas. You can see what we've done there. It's quite cunning what we've done, 12 Days of Craftmas. So every day there's going to be a different deal or a different free gift. There's going to be different every single day. So do make sure you have a look at the website to find out what they are. But today's special deal is £5 off when you spend £30 or $30. You need to use the code FESTIVE5. It's not Festives, as I thought it was when I first looked at it, because I didn't put my glasses on. It is FESTIVE5. It's only available once, but that's going to be available up until midnight tonight. And then tomorrow we'll have another deal, another free gift, something there for you. Do get your messages in. If you've got any questions for Lily, let us know. Last night I was doing some Christmas shopping online, as you do, and I did think, what is the worst and the best gift you've ever got? We won't restrict it just to Christmas, because not everybody watching will celebrate Christmas, but I'd like to know what your best or your worst gift was. I would like to know. So you can have a think about that, Lily, or do you know immediately what your best or worst gift was?
I know what the best will be. I don't know about the worst, but I think I know what the best will be.
Do you?
Of course it's crafting themed.
Oh, of course. It couldn't be anything but, could it?
Yeah. Shall I share?
Later on, we've got a craft-along with the beautiful 3D decorations. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And then we've got Second Chance Sunday later on this evening, where you can see some fantastic deals. I've got lots of people messaging in and saying hello. Adriana says, good morning, everyone from San Antonio, Texas. Taping my knee and heel for my half marathon. Wow.
Ooh, good
Pray
luck.
for cool, dry weather at 56 Fahrenheit and cloudy now. Hopefully it stays that way. Good luck. Let us know how you did. Do you get a medal? We'd like to see a picture. Sandra Dundas says, good morning, Becky, Lily, CTV crew, social media superstar and crafty family and friends. Karen says, good morning, everyone from Alabama. Sarah Brown says, hello, everyone from Melbourne, Australia. A huge hello to all of my crafty friends, the CCTV crew, and all the gang behind the scenes. Sandra Dundas says, Becky, it will pass. It stopped over here by Teesside Airport a little while ago. Okay, so that's the rain. That's good, because I'm struggling with my hair, as you can see, because it does not like the rain. Rachel was saying, last year, my husband and I both bought each other a kettle for Christmas. That is pretty rubbish. That's high up there with my mother's worst present. She got a teas made. She was not very happy about that. I don't think that would be the kind of thing I'd get. What was your worst present that you got?
I don't know about my worst. I'm struggling, but I can say my best. My best, good few years ago now, is when I've got my full set of Spectrum Noir Classique pens. It's got to be the best present I've got.
Everyone loves a crafty gift at Christmas.
Of course.
That is definitely the thing we would all like. Here we have some of our gilding waxes in all of these different colours here. So you've got various gold, copper colours and silver. And Lily's going to show us how to use these.
These gilding waxes are absolutely fabulous for embellishing all of your makes, whether you're going to be using them on card, paper, or maybe you're going more into mixed media, maybe you're going to be using them on wood, even on home decor. These really are going to really elevate and give that little bit of lustre, that lovely bit of elegance to any of your projects. We have 4 different gold tones within the range, and we also have a silver, but for this particular demonstration I'm going to be using the Empire Gold. And if we take the lid off this pot of gilding wax, we can see how absolutely gorgeous and creamy that consistency is within that pot of gilding wax. Absolutely stunning quality. So all I've done to start with is I've taken the Decorative Swirls 3D panel embossing folders, and I've actually embossed 2 panels, one from matte black cardstock and one from white cardstock, using those embossing folders. So they look absolutely fabulous embossed as they are, but if we really want to highlight and bring out that design, all I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of gilding wax just onto my finger, dabbing off the excess onto our glass mat, and I'm just going to go around in circular motions to apply that gold colour onto our cardstock. We can see how that starts to bring out that design, how elegant, how expensive looking that sort of effect is just by adding a tiny bit of that gilding wax onto there. Looks incredible on the black, makes that design really pop, but we get a slightly different effect when we use our gilding wax onto white cardstock. So it just goes to show it doesn't matter whether you're working with a pale colour of cardstock or a dark colour of cardstock, you're going to get a different but equally stunning effect using our gilding waxes. I find you get a lot more control by applying the gilding wax using your finger. You get even more control if you use your smaller finger. If you find you can be a little bit heavy-handed when you are applying your gilding waxes, perhaps try using your little pinky finger and you'll find you'll have even more control. You can use one of your blending tools, but like I say, I find I have more control using my finger. And you can see the different effects we get on black versus white cardstock. And if we actually take those panels, continue applying that gilding wax all over those embossed panels and add them onto the front of a really simple but very elegant and quite expensive looking card, you can see the incredible effects we use. Going from just an embossed panel, adding that gilding wax, you can see that amazing effect that we get, really embellishing and elevating our makes, but quick and easy to do when you've got the right products.
Absolutely stunning. Here are a few further examples. You can see how effective that looks on the gold here with those two different cards that we've got here to see how they look. And this is your collection of gilding waxes. Fantastic. I love how that looks. It really does make it super effective by using very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing I love about gilding wax is it is so much. The phrase less is more could not be more right. I mean, you saw how little I actually got out onto my finger, and then I actually ended up dabbing most of it off onto my glass mat. And I would definitely recommend working onto something like either your glass mat or your craft mat, something that's non-porous, that you can actually dab that gilding wax out onto. Something else you can do is inside your lid you get almost like a second lid, if you like, just to protect that gilding wax in transit. You can actually dab your gilding wax out onto there to take the excess off when you are using your gilding waxes. So we saw there how fabulous they looked on an embossed design, applying them with our finger, very easy to do as we saw. But you might be looking at the background on here and thinking, oh, that colour of gold cardstock is a perfect match to that gilding wax. Yeah. Well, that's not coincidence. So I did say I prefer to apply the gilding wax with my finger, but yeah. I do have a habit of saying, oh, I do one thing, and then just sort of throwing that out the window and saying, you know what, I'm going to do the total opposite to what I've just recommended, which is exactly what we're going to do now. So we're going to take some of our white cardstock. This is, of course, some of our fantastic multi-purpose cardstock. Again, the name could not be more apt. 300 GSM, multi-purpose. We can use it for our die cutting, our stamping, use it to create our card bases. That's exactly what I've used to create the card base for this particular card here. But we can actually apply our gilding waxes all over rather than highlighting a specific design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my blending tools. You might traditionally think of these being used for inks, as we'll use later in this show using our applicators with ink, but you can use these with gilding waxes as well. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to dab that into the pot, and then again I'm more than just taking the excess off, I'm sort of working that gilding wax into that sponge to get an even sort of layer of the gilding wax all over that sponge. I'm just going to work in that, I was going to say colour, but obviously it's metallic as well, working all that lovely metallic lustre. And then again, like we would with ink and like we did when we were applying the gilding wax earlier, we're going to work in circular motions. You'll find that that gives us the smoothest lay down of colour. It's the same as when we're using our inks, and it's the same as when we're actually blending with our alcohol pens. By working in that circular motion, you get that smoothest lay down of colour. You're less likely to get sort of those lines and those streaks. And just going around that edge, we're starting to create our own custom coloured and metallic cardstock, which is absolutely incredible. So it means that we can get this colour of cardstock matching that design that we've highlighted using our gilding waxes. So rather than looking in your stash and trying to find exactly the right colour of gold cardstock, because I mean within our range of gilding waxes we've got 4 different golds, so there's so many different sort of tones of gold. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to find a cardstock that's going to match that tone exactly.
Yeah.
And if it's slightly off, it sort of jars and it just doesn't look quite right. So if you're creating your own cardstock using your gilding waxes, you can see that you can get everything mashing absolutely perfectly. I mean, I'm just going at the edges here. You could leave it like that, but I'm not worrying about applying it to the centre, because when we bring in the finished card, we can see that we actually add our panels over the top, so we wouldn't need to apply the gilding wax in the centre. So that's how we can very easily create our own custom sort of gilded cardstock, if you like. But another final little technique I want to share with you is the technique that I've used around our sentiment. So what I've done is I've stamped my sentiment onto some white cardstock, and then all I've done is I've taken again this blending tool and I've just, I was going to say inked the edges, but gilding waxed the edges, if you like, just to add that little bit of gold around the edges. It draws the eye into that sentiment in the middle of that piece, and it just frames the edge really nicely. How fabulous does that look using our gilding wax just on the edges of our cardstock? So I know a lot of us at home love to use our gilding waxes, but I know personally I tend to be in a little bit of a rut, and I tend to use my gilding waxes just to highlight embossed designs, which of course does look fabulous regardless of whether you're using it on dark or light coloured cardstock. But think of the different ways you can use your gilding wax to create your backgrounds and even to edge your panels on your cards. Such a versatile product. You really don't need to use a lot of it to get that amazing metallic effect, and doesn't that look so expensive? But such an easy and quick card.
It's going to
Quite
last
a
a long
simple
time.
design. Absolutely. I mean, I've had my pots for a long, long time, and it looks like I've not even used them. You barely scratch the surface, which makes them fantastic value for money as well.
Brilliant. That looks really effective. I love the fact doing the little edges, being able to match up your colours. And you know, sometimes you're making a card and you look for a particular piece of cardstock and you've run out. This is a great way of sort of making your multimedia, your multi-purpose card go a little bit further. Claudia says, when I was 10, this is all about presents. So do keep them coming in, I like this. And when I was 10, I received nothing but soaps and shampoo for Christmas.
Oh dear.
So disappointing. Disappointing if they're not really nice soaps and shampoos. But I would have been, at 10, that's the last thing you want, isn't it? It's like when people buy you clothes when you're a child, no one wants that. Karen says, the best gift was when my daddy surprised me with diamond stud earrings one Christmas. Wow, that's impressive, I like that. I hope my husband's watching. I don't think he is, but you know, diamonds are always a good Christmas option. Sandra Dundas says, I've got the Academy of Colour up to date for this Christmas. Has to rate with the year my late mum gave me the money to get my Gemini OG. Aww. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you on that. I think that is absolutely true. Audrey Bailey Burton says, good morning, ladies from Virginia. Becky, wow, that's your colour. And Lilly looks like an angel in white. We were talking about your Christmas. You've got Christmas earrings on as well,
I do.
you?
I've made a slight effort. I was saying earlier, I've only got one Christmas jumper, so I thought, how can I be a bit more Christmassy? So I've gone for the little snowman earrings, but yeah, thank you very much.
Do get your messages in, and if you've got any questions for us, do pop them in as well, because it's always nice to hear what people are up to, what you're doing, whether you are a newbie. We had quite a few new people messaging in yesterday, and that's brilliant. And I know when I first started watching shows, I was thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, what is that thing? This is why we're doing these Scarter Skills shows, to sort of let people know that, starting from the beginning. And also, we often buy things because we watch them on a show, we put them away, and then ages past, we sort of think, actually, we've forgotten what on earth we're going to be using these things for. So this is a great opportunity to get the bits and pieces out that be sitting languishing at the bottom of a box, and you just don't know what you're going to be doing with them. And actually, now you can start using all these bits and pieces. We have some fabulous gilding flakes. This is the collection of all of those different colours, plus the Christmassy colours that we've got down here. And Lily's going to show us exactly how we're going to use these.
Absolutely, there's something so magical about gilding flakes, and they really will give your projects an absolutely amazing effect, regardless of which colour you choose to use on that particular project. For this card here, we're going to focus on the Oriole Gilding Flakes, which is this beautiful sort of gold tone. And you can see in this 200ml pot, you get absolutely loads in there. Actually, if you do decant them into a slightly larger pot, you'll find that they do expand, so it's like you get even more. And we've got lovely big flakes in there as well, which are perfect for covering large areas. But these gilding flakes are a perfect accompaniment to our 3D foam shapes. And all I've done here is I've just snipped out of one of the sheets. You get lots of different designs on the sheets that you get included in the packs. And I've snipped out this particular section as I'm going to apply gilding flakes onto this. I'm going to show how easy it is to actually give this a little bit of a blingy finish. So these are actually double-sided, so you get adhesive on both sides. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel off the backing just of that bird design in the centre. I'm not going to remove the actual bird from the sheet. I'm going to leave that in there as I find it easier to gild first and then take it out and apply it to my project. So all I'm going to do, oh, look at how gorgeous that is. I'm going to take the lid off those gilding flakes and it looks absolutely gorgeous. All of the gilding flakes we've got in there, just absolutely stunning. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my gilding flakes and I'm just going to cover over that area where we've got that exposed adhesive, with it being a double-sided adhesive embellishment. And then I'm going to take one of the sponges which comes included in your Gilding Flakes toolkit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to burnish those gilding flakes. We'll give it more of a smooth surface. It will make sure that they're adhered perfectly onto that self-adhesive area. And then if we just peel back that embellishment from the middle of that part of the sheet that we snipped out, you can see that we've got a self-adhesive gilded embellishment which looks so expensive but achieved in just seconds by using our fabulous gilding flakes. Of course, you could be using any colour of gilding flakes to embellish these gorgeous foam shapes, but when we apply that to one of our projects, you can see we've got this card here. All we've done is we've created a background, we've used the gilding flakes to stamp our sentiment, and then we've added on that foam shape with the gilding. How does that elevate our projects? It looks absolutely beautiful using our gilding flakes. Such a versatile product, but really, really easy to use.
Beautiful, I absolutely love those. Here are some samples so you can see how they're used in your card making. You've got all these different types, different colours, making them sort of more festive, or you could have some that are ideal for birthdays. And then these are the colours that you'll be getting. There are all the different colours as well as the Christmassy colours you've got here. With these, I mean, like you said, you can use these on multimedia projects as well.
Yes.
Multimedia?
Yeah,
Mixed media,
mixed media,
projects. That's the word
multimedia.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've just shown how we can use them onto some of our foam shapes to create that lovely little bird embellishment. But of course, think your card, your paper, think you can be using them on things like metal, on acetate, on wood. The glue that you get included within your Gilding Flakes toolkit will allow you to apply your Gilding Flakes to a range of surfaces. You can use this glue, you can use them with any other double-sided adhesive as well, be it your red liner tape, your standard double-sided tape, whether you're going to be using some of our double-sided adhesive sheets, our foam sheets, lots of different options of how you can apply these. But you might notice within this little toolkit that we've got, say little, we do get a good amount in here. You can get your 3 sponges, your glue, and you also get something which sounds a little bit, doesn't sound great, a dry ink pad. You think,
no.
They've sent me a dry ink pad. I didn't want a dry ink pad. I'd prefer a juicy ink pad that's full of ink, thank you. But don't worry, it is supposed to be dry, because what we do, and this one has been well loved, as we say, and the lid is almost stuck on as well. It's so well loved. We use this to actually create our own glue ink pad. So we take our liquid glue, which is included in the toolkit, and all you're going to do is you're just going to squeeze a bit out and then just rub it into your dry, not so dry anymore, ink pad. Yeah. And that's going to create a glue ink pad. And then we can use this to stamp with, and then we can apply our gilding, I was going to say gilding wax, gilding flakes to our stamp designs.
And that's not going to damage your stamp at all? Absolutely
not. So just make sure that you clean your stamp immediately afterwards. Some nice warm water or whatever you use to clean your stamps in general, but just make sure you do clean it quite soon after you've stamped. And then all we're going to do, we're going to stamp onto a panel just as we would normally using my stamping platform, but just make sure you don't sort of hold your stamp down in position for too long. Been there, done that, your stamp ends up sticking to your cardstock. I remember the first time I used a glue ink pad to stamp with when I was doing my Gilding Flakes. I thought, I want to make sure I get a really good stamped impression. I'm going to leave the stamp in position for plenty of time. Then I tried to pull it back up, and unfortunately, the stamp was stuck to the cardstock. So lesson learned, make sure stamps straight down, nice firm even pressure, and then straight back up. You don't want your stamp sticking to your cardstock. It was not ideal. So the stamp that we've used is from the Sunflower collection, one of our beautiful Nature's Garden collections. And what I've done is I've stamped this sending at the top, and then you also get a matching die in that particular set that we've got here. It's actually stamp and die set, which says Sunshine. And all I've done is I've die cut that using some of our double-sided self-adhesive sheets. You will find these on the website, of course. And then I'm just peeling off the backing, so we're exposing that adhesive. Now, something to note is that glue stays tacky for a while. So it's sort of different to our tacky glue or any sort of normal liquid glue. It stays tacky until we actually apply something to it. So you don't have to worry about sort of rushing. If you're having your cup of tea, finish your cup of tea and wait. You know, you don't have to rush to put your Gilding Flakes on. If someone comes to the door, you're all right. You can leave this and you can apply your Gilding Flakes whenever you're ready. So what we're going to do, always have a piece of scrap paper underneath. It does make a difference because these can be a little bit messy, but messy in the best possible way. Having Gilding Flakes everywhere, there's something quite joyous about that, as my craft room will show.
I do hope you haven't got carpet on your craft room.
Unfortunately, I do.
Oh no.
It's not good at the moment, and I've been working with some fabulous dyes at the moment, which have got some the waste are very small little circles. Yeah. And they get everywhere. And what I find is when I hoover, I'm hoovering them into the carpet. So the craft room is a little bit of a mess at the moment, but it's all good crafty fun.
Absolutely.
So the same technique as we did with our foam shape earlier. We apply our Gilding Flakes onto that exposed adhesive, then we use our sponge, which is included in the kit, and you do get 3 different sponges, so if you are mixing your different colours of Gilding Flakes, then perfect to have the 3 different sponges. Burnishing those Gilding Flakes off, and you can see that we've used our stamps and our double-sided adhesive sheets to build our own sentiment. If we bring in our finished card, used a slightly different sentiment, but again exactly the same technique of using our stamping and our double-sided sheets. Lovely. All we've done for the background is I've taken a piece of watercolour card, I've applied some of my Harmony water reactive inks, and then all I've done is I've taken the Gilding Flake glue, I've taken the sponge, I've dabbed all over to apply little bits of glue, and then I've just gilded over that design to create our own custom background. So 4 different techniques using our Gilding Flakes on just the one card. What a versatile product.
Absolutely. And this one is one of the best samples that I found in the box I've got, because I think it's so simple. So this is being used with different widths of tape, just sticky tape, so you could use your red liner tape in all those different widths, and then with those Gilding Flakes over the top, which I think looks really good and great if you're a new crafter and you don't really know how to do things. It looks really super effective. Lots of people messaging in, which is all good. I love to hear this. Carol Ann says, I've been afraid of using gilding wax, but seeing Lily using the blending tool, I'll give it a go. You should do. I think we should all have it. And we were saying, we really like the smell of it.
Don't smell it, but...
No, don't smell it, but when you're using it, it smells really pleasant. How do you wash your tool afterwards, your blending tool?
So I'll be really honest, this is another naughty Lily crafting moment. I don't wash things a lot. Okay. So it's the same with my inks. I'll have a different sponge for each of my different colours of gilding waxes. So I've got 5 different sponges, and it means I don't have to wash them. But I know some people actually stick them in the washing machine.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you can wash them with warm soapy water, but I've known people do stick them in the washing machine. But what I'd recommend as a naughty crafter that doesn't tidy away is to have one for each of your different colours of gilding waxes.
Okay, and with regards to the dry ink pad, do you wash that as well in between? Just leave it to dry?
I don't. So it will. So what will happen is it will dry out if you've not used it for a while. Just apply some more of the glue to it, and you'll sort of reactivate it. So just almost treat it like new every time you use it. So reapply some of that glue, but you don't need to worry about washing it. I don't worry about washing my craft things. Believe you me.
And would you use the stamp cleaning system to clean that, or you wouldn't really bother?
For your stamps?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fabulous product, so I'll definitely be using that. Just the same way as you clean your stamps as if you've used ink.
Fantastic. Please carry on getting in your questions.
Please do.
So we can see what you're getting up to. Maybe let us know. Maybe you're crafting at the moment and you're not too sure things have gone wrong. We can answer your questions. We have these glue pens here. These are two different types of glue pens. Lily's going to show us how to use these. I'm quite looking forward to this, Lily.
Absolutely, these glue pens are perfect for adding a little bit of glitter, or perhaps gilding flakes, or perhaps you're even going to use the more thin ones to actually apply some of your more intricate die cuts to your projects. They are so versatile, and to have those 3 different nib sizes is brilliant, because I always say it's horses for courses. You've got a different glue pen for a different job, which is perfect. So I'm going to show you a few different techniques using the different widths of our pens. So first of all, I'm going to work with our thinnest one, which is our ballpoint glue pen. And this is perfect not only for adding our glitter details or our gilding flake details, it's also perfect for using with intricate die cuts. So just scribble to get that, I was going to say ink, but that glue flowing from our pen, just to make sure that we've got that flow. So just going to start scribbling on a piece of scrap paper to get the flow of our glue down to the bottom of that nib. And once you're happy that you've got the glue flowing, you'll find that these are actually blue in colour when they go on. So they don't go on clear, they go on blue. So all we're going to do is we've taken an image from one of our card front colouring pads, and we're just going to add a little bit of glitter detail. So we've coloured it in using some of our tri-blend pens, and we're going to add a little bit of detail. So for the fine details, I'm going to use that particular ballpoint glue pen, but if we want to fill out some larger areas with even more glitter, then your medium-sized nib, this lovely bullet nib, is perfect for covering slightly larger areas. So all we're going to do is we're going to colour over the areas where we want to apply our glitter, just to highlight our design and really bring it to life with those glitter details. And then bringing in a piece of scrap paper. You can use any glitter at all with these. You'll find that a fine glitter will work better when you've got smaller areas, just so that it will pick up all the detail. So I wouldn't be going with something like a chunky glitter. I'd be using something like this, which is a nice fine glitter. And just by applying a little bit of the glue from those fabulous glue pens of the different widths, you can see we start to highlight that design. Now, if I bring in a contrasting image, what we've used here is we've used our clear sparkle pens. We can see we get a different effect compared to using our glue pens than our sparkle pens. So we've got the sparkle pens all over the butterfly. I'd say use your sparkle pens if you've got a larger area to cover. But if you want to be picking out details, use your glue pens and you'll get an amazing effect very easily and quickly.
That's beautiful. Makes it very easy. Here are some samples you can see here, just trimming using that glue on the very edge of this particular one and highlighting all of those different parts of your card here. Great addition to your crafting collection. These are our glue pens. Great for doing really intricate parts, because sometimes it's too difficult to use any other kind of glue applicator, isn't it? Because you need that preciseness of a pen.
Absolutely, and it just makes it so easy. And because if these have been designed specifically to use with your glitter or with your gilding flakes, glitter flakes, gilding flakes, it means that that glue is being specifically formulated for that use. So you know you're going to get that perfect adhesion, whether you're using glitter like we've just shown there, or maybe you're bringing in some of our gilding flakes that we looked at earlier. You're going to get that perfect bond with this glue. So I did mention we have our 3 different nib sizes. In our pack of 3, we get our ballpoint, which is really nice and fine. So perhaps you are actually going to be writing names, maybe on Christmas cards, and you actually want to gild that. How amazing and expensive would that look? But very easy to do when we've got that lovely fine point. And if you are thinking that you're going to be doing a lot of handwriting using these, then do consider going for our pack of 5 of the ballpoint glue pens. Perhaps you're going to be going for the pack of 3 with the different nibs to start with, almost as like a try me set to try out the different nibs. But if you do find that you are going to be using your ballpoint nibs a lot more, you might want to be going for that pack of 5 where you've got 5 of the 0.7mm nib on there. Great for your detailed applications. So that's our ballpoint, great for your really fine details and your handwriting. If we bring in the next one that we had a little look at earlier, this is our bullet nib, so a little bit thicker. It is 3 mils in sort of width, great for slightly larger areas like we coloured in the berries earlier. A really versatile nib and great for adding those details to your stamped and coloured images. And then finally we bring into our chisel nib here, which is our 4mm, and this is great for all your borders, which is exactly what I'm going to show you now. A really easy technique, but it does elevate your designs an awful lot, but very quick and easy to do. I've taken a panel here of cardstock, and this is actually from our fabulous frosted blues cardstock pad that you'll find on the website, and all I've done is I've trimmed a panel out, and it looks absolutely beautiful. We've got a stunning printed design onto there, but if we want to elevate it that little bit more, and this is exactly what this show is about. I think sometimes we think about embellishments, it's just perhaps adding some gems, adding a bow perhaps to a project, but embellishments really is anything which is going to elevate your make. So adding glitter absolutely is a form of embellishment, and all we're doing, piece of scrap paper underneath, and we're just going to colour. We don't need to worry about having a ruler or making anything really, really precise and really straight, even lines. We're just going to go around the edge using this glue pen. You can see that it goes on slightly blue, which is great because it means you can see exactly where you've actually already applied that glue to. It makes our job a lot easier. We can see the glue's on there like so. We've coloured all around the edge. We're going to bring back in this lovely iridescent glitter, quite a fine glitter, the same glitter that we used when we were adding our details to our stamped and coloured image earlier. Add some glitter around the border of this particular piece, just flicking off the excess, and before this goes all over the floor, obviously that's never happened to me. It happened the other day with embossing powder, and
Glitter gets everywhere, doesn't it?
Yes, it was not great, but I mean, I'm covered in glitter. It's part of the joy, isn't it? But you can see how we've added that glitter border onto there. How fabulous does that look to frame that design and enhance it even more? We've gone ahead. We've laid up a card just like so. So we've done that same technique, top and bottom, using those fabulous glitter pens. And all we're going to do in order to finish this off is we're going to take this lovely stamped and coloured image. It looked fabulous just with the colouring, using our tri-blend pens to add some shading, some depth and dimension onto there. But to really make it pop, those glue pens give it that extra little bit of detail, that bit of Christmassy sparkle, which really does elevate your makes and makes them look that little bit more special. So adding a few foam pads onto the back, all we're going to do is we're going to add this onto the left hand side like so, just to finish that off. And that gorgeous mistletoe design is from one of our Christmas card front colouring pads. All we've done is we've coloured it in using our tri-blends and then just snipped it out of the pad. So it's another way of using our card front colouring pads, showing that you don't need to use them as a rectangle design. You can snip them out, you can add your glitter. How fabulous does it look with our glitter border matching our glitter details? Really just set that card off a little bit more. Think of that on the mantelpiece at Christmas as it catches the light. That little twinkle of glitter does just make that difference to any of your projects. I do love a little bit of glitter.
Oh, me too. I think the world would be a better place if we had more glitter everywhere.
Yes.
If it rained glitter. How lovely would that be?
Do you know what? I wouldn't be out in an umbrella, I'd be there. Come at me.
I don't blame you. And I quite like the idea of using one of those pens to write on wrapping paper, you know, write Merry Christmas all the way along a diagonal, and then using those gilding flakes over the top of it, making your own wrapping paper. I think that might be quite nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You can use craft paper for that, and then you'll be able to recycle it afterwards, I assume.
Nice.
Now, Laura says, I was so into, this is about Christmas presents, I was so into Duran Duran and the other British new wave bands back in the 80s. Weren't we all? Love a bit of 80s music. And I really wanted a bass guitar. I snuck down into the living room Christmas morning when I was 15 or 16 and saw a long flat present with my name on it. And I just knew Santa had bought me one. It was a full-length mirror to hang on my bedroom door. I was heartbroken.
Brilliant.
I don't blame you. I would have been so disappointed. Did you ever get your bass guitar? Or, you know, are you still there holding the mirror, doing this to the mirror? air guitar. Sandra Dundas says, could you use a chisel nib pen for the calligraphy and then use glitter or gilding flakes on it?
What a fabulous idea, yeah.
That would work?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, anywhere you'd use a normal pen, you can use these. The only difference is instead of it being ink, it's glue, so use it for your calligraphy. My goodness me, would that look fabulous. If you do give that a go, I'd love to see.
Oh, I like the idea of that, definitely. We have here some sequins. These are our dusky pink. Then we have your iridescent diamond. We have your coral blush. And we have blue lagoon. Lily, what can we do with these?
So these sequin packs are absolutely brilliant for embellishing any of our makes, but they work perfectly for creating shaker cards. So what we've done is we've taken our Hello Beautiful stamp and die set from our shaped shaker cards range, and all we've done is we've die cut the frame from some of our pattern cardstock. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some of our red liner tape and we're going to apply this to the back of this die cut piece. So your red liner tape does come in a range of different widths. I'm using the 6mm here. It will fit nicely onto the frame that we've got around the edge of this die cut piece. And what we're going to do is we're going to add our red liner tape onto there. You could of course die cut this using a double-sided self-adhesive sheet if you prefer, and then that would mean that the back is already got that adhesive all over that area. So just removing our backing from our red liner, and then what we've got is we've got a piece of acetate that's cut slightly larger than our actual die cut piece. I find it easier to cut my acetate to larger than it's needed, stick my cardstock down to my acetate, and then actually trim my acetate down to size afterwards. So all we're doing is I'm just undercutting ever so slightly underneath the edge of this die cut piece, just using a small pair of scissors to actually snip under there so that we don't have any of our acetate showing at the edges. So just snipping around the edge like so. You don't need to worry about this being neat, as we won't see the edge of this when we actually sort of finish cutting around here, as long as we don't see the acetate at the edges. Then all we're going to do is we're going to turn it round. We're going to take some of our shaker tape. So we're just going to apply this around the edge like so. And the brilliant thing about our shaker tape is that it's been designed specifically for our shaker cards. So it means that it will bend round curves. You can see we've got a curve on here like so. And all you need to do is just bend that around the edge of this die cut piece. And this will start to create a wall for our shaker card. So you want to make sure that you actually have a continuous piece of foam when you are creating your shaker cards. And all we'd do is we'd go around each compartment and would apply our shaker tape just like so. I'd go around and I'd do exactly the same on the other side. Then all you're going to do is you're going to take some of your mixed sequin packs. You get so much within these packs, and you get a range of different sequin sizes as well. You'd apply that into that area that you've just applied your tape around. Add your sequins into there. Then I've got another butterfly. I've die cut just the outline from acetate. You sandwich that on the back. And when you pop that onto a finished project just like so, you can see the amazing shaker effect you get. Here we've got it on the lid of a box, but using the different colours in the different sides of the butterfly, you can see by creating those two different compartments with our foam tape, we're able to do that. But what a fabulous way to use our mixed sequin packs.
They look gorgeous. Here are some more samples you can see with all of those little sequins through here in these little shaker cards, but you could obviously use them for other embellishments as well, but looking absolutely gorgeous. We have 4 different colours. You've got your dusky pink, you've got your iridescent diamond, you have your coral blush, and you have your blue lagoon. So many things you could do with these, and there was a couple of messages actually. Sandra says, was it Sandra? No, it wasn't. It was Anne. Says, I like the sequins in the packaging are not all the same shape and size. It makes the shape, it helps the shaker shake nicely. And I hadn't really noticed that, but when you look at them, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's all sorts of different shapes in here. You've got sort of more almost almost like cup sequins. You've got little tiny round sequins, and you've also got little stars in here in each of those packages. 50 grams in each, so you get quite a sizable amount. Where else would you use these sequins? Do you use them for other things? Do you use them for sprinkling onto cards?
Absolutely. So the brilliant thing about these is, I mean, we're talking about the range of different sizes we've got included. You can see we get different shapes as well, and a lot of them do actually have that little hole in the centre. So this one's for you, Becky. You can actually stitch through them if you like.
Oh,
which is fabulous. I mean, imagine.
I'd need my glasses on for that.
Well, yeah, that's the sort of thing I do. You know, I like my fiddly crafting, but you can actually stitch through them. Some of the larger ones are about 6 mil in diameter with a hole in the centre. You can sew them onto your projects. But if we bring back in the project I just showed you earlier, you can stick them to any of your cards or boxes or anything that you're making, almost like you would a pearl, just to embellish your makes. So use them where you might use a gem. It means that everything matches absolutely beautifully. So not just for your shakers, but great for embellishments too. But if we bring back in the shaker that we started, I've continued adding all of my foam tape around the edge, and I will just show you how easy it is to add the 2 different colours of sequin onto this particular project. So I love the fact that within the range we do get all the different sequin colours, but don't just think of using them individually, think of using more than one colour on the one project. And the brilliant thing about this butterfly is it's very easy to separate it into 2 separate compartments, one for each of the wings, so we can use our different colours of sequin packs in the 2 different areas. So what I've done is I've already peeled back the backing from my foam tape, and you can see the brilliant thing is, because we use that foam in a roll, that specific shaker tape, it's only about 3 mil in width. So it's perfect for these smaller areas. It's been designed specifically that it will go around your curves. So I didn't have to cut into it. I could literally use that one continuous piece and bend that all around that edge. So absolutely brilliant for use with your shakers. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pour some of our sequins. You can see really clearly now how we've got lots of different sequin shapes and sizes, which just gives your designs that little bit more interest to have those different shapes in there, rather than it just being one sort of circular sequin. By having the hearts, the stars, the smaller little circles, the larger circles which are more domed, you get a different effect. And what we're going to do is we're just going to fill up that compartment. So you want to make sure that your sequins don't sort of come higher than where that foam tape is around the edge. You may find that some of your sequins stick to your foam tape. Not to worry about that. You can just peel them back if you like, but if you do have a couple stuck in there, it's not the end of the world. So that's our iridescent diamond into that left-hand compartment. Now we're going to take our dusky pink, which is this gorgeous pink colour, but when it catches the light, you can see all the different colours of glitter and sort of sequins in there. And we're just going to do exactly the same on this right-hand compartment. And we're just going to pour some of our sequins into there. You want plenty in there so that you've got sort of enough interest and it's not a half-empty shaker card, because there's something a little bit sad about having a half-empty shaker, but you don't want so many that it's too full that it won't shake. So it is a little bit of a balancing act, but they're not difficult to create at all. So once you're happy with how many of sequins you've got in there, all I did is I took that outer die, and you can see I've got gilding flakes all over, that outer die from that butterfly. So with the frame, we cut the outer die and the 2 inner die. So you can see if I bring in the packaging, you have that outer butterfly shape, and then those 2 inner compartments are actually separate dies. So for my acetate, I've just die cut that outer die. I've snipped the antennae off just because we don't need them for this particular part of the design. And then with our foam tape facing upwards, what we're going to do is we're just going to add our acetate over the top, and that's going to trap our sequins inside those 2 compartments. We're just going to press down to make sure that's adhered nicely. Fingers crossed, no leaky shakers. But the brilliant thing is, with these being slightly larger particles than your glitter, it doesn't need to be completely continuous. If you've got a tiny little mil gap, you should be all right. Okay. I say should be, fingers crossed. But you can see how fabulous that looks with the 2 different compartments onto there like so. Really easy to create, but by having that area down the centre, it means that we've got the pink on the left, the clear on the right, and when you pop it onto one of your finished projects, we've got this lovely box that we've created using that Hello Beautiful shaker die, using our mixed sequin packs. What an absolutely beautiful project, but easy to create when you've got those gorgeous sequins.
They look useful and so many uses for them. Lots of people loving those sequins that you're using and liking shaker cards in general. Laura, who was saying about the guitar, no, I never got one, Becky. And I still play air guitar, bass and drums. I feel really sorry for you not getting your air guitar. Yeah, maybe, you know, people are watching today and think, oh, actually, I know what I can get her. Violet Hastings says, my husband, Santa in brackets, ordered the tri-blends for me yesterday. I'll soon start stalking that delivery truck. I think when you get to know the names, or that your delivery driver knows you by name, then you know you've bought too many things. I had a delivery driver come to me the other day and he was like, hold on a minute, you know, he normally used to deliver to my old work because that's where I had everything delivered, and he's on a different run now. And he was like, is this where you live? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, well, if I ever get any other parcels and you're not in at the office, I'll bring them into your home. And I was like, oh, that's a good sign of buying, well, a bad sign of buying too much. Sandra Dundas says, if you're looking for another use for the sequins, using tweezers to apply one at a time as fish scales or mermaid's tail.
What a fabulous idea. Yeah, I like that idea.
Have you got a project when you've done that, Sandra? Could you send it in? No, so we can have a look at that a little bit later. And Violet Hastings says, I love that box. That looks really, really good.
Oh, thank you.
And you could have something very plain inside as a gift, but that beautiful box would really elevate that gift with using the sequins.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have for you the edge crimper, this little tool, and Lilly is going to show us how to use it.
This is definitely one of those tools that I describe as small but mighty. Don't underestimate the fantastic effects you can get just with this tiny little pocket-sized tool. So within this particular tool we have 7 recessed blades, and this allows us to create distressed effects and distressed edges on any of our papers and cardstock, which really does give you that lovely shabby chic vintage effect. So taking one of our pattern papers from our Sarah Signature Vintage Butterfly 12 by 12 inch paper pad, we can see we have a lovely distressed effect and design onto that particular paper. And to really bring out that design, really add to that vintage effect, we can take our edge crimper. All you need to do is choose one of the 7 slots that we've got within this particular tool. Slot the edge of your cardstock into there, and then it's a case of just running that blade up and down this particular edge of your cardstock, and this will start to give that distressed edge really easily. Now in the past you may have seen people create a similar effect using a pair of scissors and actually running the blade of the pair of scissors up and down your cardstock. You will get a similar effect, however it can actually be quite dangerous to use scissors in that way. So by having a tool which is perfectly safe, the blades are actually recessed into that particular tool, very easy to hold, very easy to do. We get the same effect but safely and easily. So all you do is run that tool up and down the edge of your cardstock, and you can see it gives you almost like that ripped effect without actually having to tear into your cardstock. You can choose exactly how distressed and how torn you want that edge to look. Perhaps you want to have a really quite distressed and shabby chic effect to that particular project. Then just go in and continue distressing using your tool. But you can just use it for a little bit of light distressing by just going up and down that area a couple of times. But you can see by just using our edge crimper, as I say, a small but mighty tool, you can get that distressed effect onto your edges of any of your papers or cardstock, giving you that distressed vintage effect without having to tear into your cardstock. Really easy to do. What a fabulous, indispensable tool to have in your crafty stash.
Very cool effect from that. Here are some samples you can see here using that in the same kind of way Lilly's just shown you, distressing the edges of that particular card. This one even more so, and creating those little curves that you've got there. And these are all done using our edge crimper. I never even thought about this little tool. I would have always used scissors, but like you say, it's very dangerous.
Yes, I mean, I'll be honest, I have cut myself quite a few times doing that technique, and it's quite uncomfortable on your hands. I mean, I can struggle sometimes with my hands with having pains in my fingers, and using your scissors in that sort of way, holding them like that. I mean, just to look at, that's just an accident waiting to happen. But by having a little tool, so handy, you can have it in your craft tote. It's like a pokey tool, this one. You've got to have one on your craft desk, you've got to have one on your craft tote. These, when you start using them, honestly, they get a little bit addictive. You start distressing all your edges because you can see how amazing that effect looks. Just very easy and quick to create, to give you that shabby chic effect on all of your projects. A truly indispensable tool. If you've not got one in your crafty stash, don't just get one, get several, because you'll be using them time and time again. These are absolutely amazing, honestly. I had one for a while and I wasn't using it, and I had to give myself a telling off the other night. I started using it and I thought, why have you not been using this? This is a brilliant tool. Anytime you want to create that shabby chic effect, definitely get this tool out. It's an absolutely brilliant one to have in your stash.
Does it matter what you're using? And if you're using it on paper or cardstock, or is there a particular cardstock that you can't use? Can you use 300 GSM, or is it too much for it?
Absolutely fine. I've used it on all sorts, so it's really, anytime you'd use scissors, you can use this because these are brilliant quality blades. Like I say, 7 recessed, and that's the key point, recessed blades within there makes it really safe. You can use it on your thicker cardstock, you can use it on your thin paper. So I think this is about 180 GSM. It looks absolutely fabulous. But another way to add even more sort of a vintage distressed effect onto here, you can actually take one of your ink pads. This is our Harmony Water Reactive in Seal Brown, and if you want to make even more of a feature of those distressed edges, just go over the edge using our ink pad, straight from the ink pad to our cardstock, rather than actually using a blending tool. Use your ink pad onto the edges like there, and what a fabulous distressed effect you get onto the edge of that cardstock. And if we actually pop that into a finished design, a lovely vintage effect using some of our Sarah Signature vintage butterfly papers, distressing those edges makes a real difference. And again, using some of our inking onto the edges of those die cut pieces. A thing to note as well is we did use that on the edge of a piece that we cut with the guillotine, but don't think it's got to be a sort of a straight edge. You could be distressing the edges of die cut pieces, they could be circles, they could be hearts, any shape at all. It doesn't just have to be a square edge that you are using that edge crimper onto. You can use it on any shape at all, but isn't it just fabulous for use on any of your vintage projects?
And I imagine it would look really good if you were using it on a piece of card that was a dark colour on both sides, and with a white core. Then you sort of, if you had a black card, black piece of cards, and you had that white core inside, then you can really see all those different effects. And actually, I would be quite inclined to put a bit of glue on that edge, to put a bit of the gilding flakes on there. That would look quite nice.
Or gilding waxes.
Think gilding flakes for everything would be the way to go. All over me, all over my hair, just everywhere. Sandra Dundas says she hasn't used the sequins to make that card yet. It's for her granddaughter's, it was an idea for her granddaughter's second birthday card for April. Well, if you do make it, we would love to see how you've used it. We'd like to see how people use all of the products, maybe in a different way. Betty Weaver says, I always forget my edge crimper. Hopefully you won't now. And like you say, like Lily says, if you have a couple, you've got them all over the place, and maybe you wouldn't forget them. That would be a good thing to do. This item is your flower forming foam with your dies and also your stamens. Lily, what are you going to make us with this?
Now, I love adding flowers to any of my finished projects, whether it be a card or a gift bag like we're going to look at here. Adding die cut flowers makes a real difference to any of your makes. And what we've done is we've taken that lovely clover die and we've die cut 2 of the larger from some of our Nature's Garden wisteria foam. We've cut 1 of the middle size and we've cut 1 of the smaller. And what we're going to do is we're going to heat and shape this foam. So applying it to our iron, just holding that onto the iron to heat it up just for a few seconds until it starts to curve. So we're going to shape the largest one, and then our other die cut from the largest die, we're just going to hold that onto our iron to shape it. Now you can use your heat tool. If you do have a heat tool, you can use that instead of an iron to heat and shape the foam, but this sort of foam is actually being specifically designed to mould and shape. So what you'll find by adding in your heat, using something like an iron, or like I say, using a a heat tool, you'll find that it'll shape very easily once you apply your heat to it. And then if you just take your hot glue gun, I'm not sure if mine is heated up to temperature just yet, but we will. Oh yes, we do have a little bit coming out the edge. And I do find that the best sort of adhesive to use with your flower forming foam is your hot glue gun. You'll get that perfect stick using your hot glue. You can use your Collal 3D glue gel if you prefer, but I do find to get that instant grab using your hot glue gun is perfect. And all we're doing is we're layering up our flower, staggering the different petals to give us more of a full finished effect onto our flower. Then taking our smallest one, and it's completely up to you how many layers you actually use of your petals, but by just using 4 layers you can see you get quite a full effect onto that flower. Heating using our heat tool, our iron, and then if you actually use some of your stamens, just poke a hole through the centre, thread your stamens through, you'll get a gorgeous finished centre to your flowers. But just using that same technique 3 times on 3 different sizes of our flowers. All the foam that we've used there is from our Nature's Garden Wisteria collection. Some of our papers from that same collection, the sentiment and the frames are also from that Wisteria range. Applying that onto your gift bag, it would have been a lovely gift bag without the flowers, but by adding the flowers onto there, my goodness me, does that just elevate your makes. Very easy and quick, as you saw, to create your own foam flowers, but what an amazing result on your gift bags.
I love those ways those flowers look. Here are some more samples so you can see how effective they are. Christmassy ones as well as ones that are great for any kind of season, and they're going to last and last because obviously they're not real. So this is your collection of flower forming foam products. Now, I want to show you a few more samples because these are so gorgeous. I think it's an absolute crying shame not to see the type of things you can make with these. Look at that. Would that not be amazing for a wedding, you know, as a table decoration in a wedding? And you don't have to, you can make them all in advance. You don't have to worry about there being an issue with those, dying during this, when you're getting everything ready for the wedding. They are absolutely beautiful, and they are going to be those kinds of things that people are going to want to keep forever. And I think it's really sort of therapeutic making the flowers, isn't it? I really enjoyed doing them last time I did them.
I mean, I have to say, it's one of those things I can sit there in an evening and I can lose hours just making up all of my flowers, whether you're using your foam flowers like we've just shown here, or whether you're using those dies with paper. Creating your own flowers, there's something so therapeutic about it. But just going back to the flower that we created earlier, of course we would add some of our stamens through the centre. All you do in order to add those is just poke a hole through the middle of your flower, just having your foam mat underneath. And of course, to shape, we were using our ball tools and foam shaping mat, which you will find on the website. So poke your hole through the centre of your flower, and then just use your pokey tool to thread your stamens through the middle, and then that will give you that lovely finished centre to your flower, just like so. To add that final finishing touch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my ink pads. This is my crushed velvet water reactive. You can colour your foam using lots of different colouring mediums. You could use your alcohol pens, you could be using your quick dry inks, you could be using your water reactive like we are here. But just to really finish that off, using one of our finger daubers to add a little bit of colour just on the edges of those petals. I mean, it took minutes to make that. How quick and easy, but a lovely finished embellishment. And of course, it matches with your finished projects better than buying your own pre-made embellishments. And of course, you then have all the fun of actually creating those yourself.
Absolutely stunning, really quick and easy. Felicity Fletcher says, I'm watching rather late and I've just caught Lilly with the gilding wax. She's so clear with her instructions and the demonstrations are so easy to follow. I absolutely agree. Thank you very much for imparting all your knowledge. Aww. I do hope you've learned loads. I've learned tons. Now we're going to be together for the rest of the day, aren't we?
Together forever?
I
know. Not quite.
But today. Like a song.
Well, yes.
But we've got craft along later on, which I'm really looking forward to because we've got the 3D decorations, which I cannot wait wait to see. I want to do a little craft along over here at the same time.
Ooh,
And
we
then
might
we've
be able to set that
Could
up.
we? Oh,
I don't see why not. Yeah.
And then we've got a Second Chance Sunday, which is always a good show, isn't it?
Yeah, I always say I love a Second Chance Sunday. I'm not here very often. I'm always behind the scenes. I'm always here, really, but I'm not here very often. So I love a Second Chance Sunday because it's all the best bits from the week. So if you haven't missed any shows, you've got to make sure you're there for Second Chance Sunday. But of course, like Becky says, you've got to be here for Craft Along. You've got to be here all day. We're here all day. Why aren't you?
We've got Christine
Come on,
Mahoney
join us.
in.
Oh, exciting.
That's brilliant. I'm looking forward to saying hello to you, Christine. So have a lovely break. We've got 2 hours and we will see you at 2 o'clock with the Craft Along.
Ooh.